It is inevitable when you talk about Zen that you have to talk about meditation, because for the most part, that's what it's all about to most people. Dr. Abe visited a lot of monasteries and schools years ago, asking them specifically why meditation brings awakening. He did not get good results. One of my comments is, why do humans have to not live to live when deer and birds and squirrels and there's deer right over there don't have to do that? Why don't they have to sit and do this? Why are we so problematic? And not just that we have to remove ourselves from life. So I'm always told about the different schools of Zen, which I've studied extensively. If you look at the story of the historical Buddha Siddhartha, he leaves his castle and he sees sickness, death, and dying and death. And he's overcome by that. And to escape now the anxiety of knowing that he's going to die one day and what suffering really is, he becomes a hedonist and he does anything to please himself. And after years of that, it doesn't work out. He's still not satisfied, and he leaves. And he becomes an ascetic, and he lives in the forest, and the mythology says he lived on one grain of rice a day. But he did all the meditation and all the stuff the ascetics do. And that didn't work. And then what's he do? One day he says, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to sit under that tree until I resolve this problem, or until the problem is resolved. And he does. He didn't say meditate. He'd done that. Not that I'm against it, but I think you need to understand it better. Next story. Huay Ka goes to Bodhidharma, is sitting in the cave for all those years, and he waits outside. Bodhidharma doesn't come out. It goes on and on. It snows up to his waist. Bodhidharma comes out and says, okay, what's wrong? And Huay Ka says, my heart, mind, I have anxiety, I'm not at ease. And Bodhidharma says, the way is long and difficult. And Huay Ka, in the story, cuts off his arm and hands it to him to show what he's been through to get to this point. And Bodhidharma, I don't know, takes the arm, whatever, and says, what's the problem? And Huay Ka says, my heart, mind is not at ease. And Bodhidharma says, hand it to me. He didn't say, count your breaths, breathe to your navel, sit with your legs crossed. He didn't say any of those things. Present yourself to me in the moment. Yet, Zen is based on meditation. So for a man that had sit as the wall-gazing Brahma for 7 or 15 years or whatever the mythology is, he didn't tell him to do that. Now, it may be that he didn't tell him to do that because he had gone beyond that point, that he was so stressed out, so full of anxiety, that he'd come to this extreme point that wasn't necessary. But at the same time, that is the main point of Zen schools today, is to meditate, sit and do this practice, do this practice, do this practice. I get it, and I understand that it's not how I came to it by any fashion. You'd think there'd be a lot more awakened people in the world if this was particularly effective. And by the way, for those who are into martial arts, in martial arts, there's a thing called the Baochuan, it's the covered fist. And of course the Namaste, like this, right? So in martial arts, if you watch a martial arts movie, when they bow, they do this. And the reason they do that is because it's supposed to be Huay Ka losing his arm. So a lot of folks don't know that when they see the monks in the Chinese movies doing this thing. It's symbolic of that, losing the arm. Anyway, so this emphasis of meditation, Dr. Abe and I have talked about it quite a bit over the years. His comment to me was, it's not the only way, but it's the best way, if done correctly. And I said, that's a big if. Dr. DiMartino really just pushed self-inquiry, and that is not self-questioning. Why do you do this? Why do I do that? And this is, I've only learned this recently, that this is the idea of self-inquiry. Self-inquiry is to see who you are at the moment, not relative. So anyway, I just wanted to address this about meditation because it always comes up. And I've been to several monasteries with Dr. Abe and had several exchanges with their teachers, some which were very surprising. I had a discussion with some people from well-known schools, generally in the United States, with one or two in Japan, and one fellow was stressing the breathing. You have to do the breathing. Got to do the breathing like this, that, the other. And I said to him, and if you have COPD, breathing difficulties, can you awaken? No. It's like, that's ridiculous. I was with DiMartino when he said to a guru that you had to sit the full lotus and, hands certain ways. And DiMartino said, if you're an amputee, can you become awakened? They said no. It's crazy. Why do body positions have anything to do with true reality? Whether it's asanas and yogas, why is a body position suddenly in tune you with the universe? I don't get it. I think it's better to be a lot more inquisitive about these practices and look at them critically. I get what meditation's trying to do, which I'll talk about later, but it is not the only way.